Part 1. The warship hung in space above the planet like a dark metal shadow. Inside, Kale stood in front of Commander Thex. The commander was tall with gray skin and cold eyes that never blinked. Kale was taller, nearly 9 feet, with black scales that covered his body like armor. His claws were sharp enough to cut through steel. His teeth could tear through bone. He was a Vorkath, created in a lab to be the perfect killer. Thex looked at the screen showing the green planet below. There is a human settlement on the surface. 200 of them. They built it without permission. This is Vrak's territory, Kale nodded. He had done this 17 times before. Go down, find the targets. Kill them all. Leave nothing behind. It was simple work. Humans are weak, Thex said. They have no claws, no armor, no real weapons. This should be easy for you. I understand, Kale said. His voice was deep and rough. He spoke the Vrak's language perfectly. They had programmed it into his brain when they created him. Thex pressed a button. You leave in 1 hour. Complete the mission in 3 days. Report when finished. Kale went to the drop pod. It was small and dark inside. He fit himself into the seat and strapped in. The pod launched from the ship with a violent shake. Then he was falling through the black sky toward the green world below. The planet was called Talon 9. It had forests and mountains and 2 small moons. The pod landed in the forest at night. Kale stepped out into the darkness. His eyes could see perfectly in the dark. His nose could smell every living thing around him. His ears could hear the smallest sounds. He moved through the forest like a ghost. No sound, no trace. After an hour of walking, he saw lights in the distance. The human settlement. Kale climbed a tall tree and looked down at the colony. It sat in a valley between hills. There were about 30 buildings made of metal and plastic. Some were homes. Some were for storing food. One large building in the center looked important. Gardens grew in neat rows. Machines hummed softly. Humans walked between the buildings carrying tools and boxes. He watched them for hours. 2 guards walked around the edge of the settlement. They carried guns, but the weapons looked old and simple. Every few hours, the guards changed. New ones came out while the old ones went to rest. Kale studied their patterns. He learned their schedule. He found their weak points. When he had seen enough, he moved closer. On the second night, Kale made his first kill. A guard walked alone on the north side. Kale dropped from a tree behind him. One quick movement. The guard fell without a sound. Kale dragged the body into the forest and hid it. An hour later, he killed the second guard on the east side. Same method. Quick and silent. But then something strange happened. Within 10 minutes, alarms rang through the settlement. Lights came on everywhere. More humans ran out with guns. They moved fast and organized. They formed a circle around the buildings. They called to each other with hand signals and short words. Kale watched from the shadows. This was not normal. Most settlements panicked when attacked. They ran around confused and scared. But these humans moved like soldiers. They knew what to do. A tall man with gray hair stood in the center giving orders. This was Day, their leader. Kale could hear his voice clearly. Lock down all buildings. Get the children inside. Teams of 4 only. No one goes anywhere alone. Another human, a woman with short black hair, ran to Day. I can rig up some motion sensors with the mining equipment. Give me 20 minutes. Do it, Bora, Day said. Kale felt something he rarely felt, surprise. These humans were adapting. They were using what they had to fight back. He decided to test them. He moved to the west side and tried to get closer. But as soon as he crossed a certain line, a bright light flashed and a loud noise erupted. The motion sensors. 4 humans ran toward the sound. Kale moved back into the darkness. They searched the area with flashlights and guns ready. One of them was young, maybe 20 years old. His name was Tay. Tay looked at something in his hand. A small device. I'm getting weird energy readings. Something big is out there. Fall back, the team leader said. We don't fight what we can't see. They retreated to the settlement. Kale tried 2 more times that night to breach their defenses. Each time they detected him. Each time they responded quickly and carefully. On the 3rd attempt, Kale got too close. Tay fired a weapon at him. It was not a normal gun. It shot out a pulse of electromagnetic energy. The pulse hit Kale in the shoulder. Pain exploded through his body. His muscles seized up. He fell and rolled away into the forest. Kale lay in the darkness, breathing hard. His shoulder burned. Black blood oozed from the wound. His healing system started working, but it would take time. He had underestimated these humans. That was a mistake. He crawled deeper into the forest and found a cave. Inside, he sat against the cold stone wall and examined his wound. The electromagnetic pulse had damaged his tissue. It would heal in a few hours, but right now he was weakened. Cale closed his eyes and focused on healing, but he kept thinking about what he had seen. These humans were different. They were organized, smart, dangerous. Kyle opened his eyes. A small human stood at the cave entrance. A child, a girl. She had dark hair tied back and big brown eyes. She was maybe 8 years old. She wore simple clothes and carried a small bag. She looked at Cale without fear. "You're hurt," she said. Cale stared at her. His training told him to kill her immediately. She was a target, but something made him pause. Maybe it was the way she looked at him. Not with fear or hatred, just concern. The girl walked closer. She opened her bag and pulled out bandages and medicine. "My mom is a doctor. She taught me how to help people who are hurt." "Stay back," Cale growled. His voice came out harsh and frightening. The girl stopped, but she didn't run. "My name is Hannah. What's yours?" Cale didn't answer. He watched her carefully. She was so small, so fragile. He could kill her with one swipe of his claw. Hannah took another step forward. "Please let me help. You're bleeding." Cale should have killed her. That was his mission. That was what he was created to do. But instead he found himself staying still as this small human girl approached him. Hannah knelt beside him. Her small hands were gentle as she examined his wound. She cleaned it with something that stung. Then she wrapped a bandage around it. The bandage was too small for his large body, but she used 3 of them to cover the injury. "There," she said. "That should help until you heal properly." "Why?" Kyle asked. It was the only word he could think of. Hannah looked up at him. "My mom says all living things deserve kindness, even if they're different, even if they're scary." Before Cale could respond, voices called out in the distance. "Hannah, where are you?" "That's my dad," Hannah said. She stood up. "I have to go, but I hope you feel better." She smiled at him. Then she ran out of the cave. Kyle sat alone in the darkness. He looked at the bandages on his shoulder. Something inside him felt strange, wrong, like his programming was glitching. He had let a target escape. Worse, he had let a target help him. Outside, he heard more voices, multiple humans searching for the girl. Then he heard a man's voice full of relief. "Hannah, thank God you're safe." Cale moved to the cave entrance and peered out. In the moonlight, he could see a man hugging Hannah tightly. This must be her father. His name was Jin. A woman ran up too. So the doctor. They held Hannah between them, checking if she was hurt. Day approached them. "Did you see anything out here?" Hannah looked back toward the cave. For a moment, Cale thought she would point to where he hid, but instead she said, "No, I just got lost." "I'm sorry," she was protecting him. This small human child was lying to her own people to keep him safe. The humans took Hannah back to the settlement. Cale watched them go. He stayed in the cave all night thinking. His wound healed. His body repaired itself. But something in his mind would not repair. Something had changed. For the first time in his existence, Cale questioned his mission. He questioned what he was made to do, and he didn't know what to do about it. For 3 days, Cale did not attack the settlement. He stayed hidden in the forest watching. His shoulder healed completely. His body was ready to complete the mission. But his mind was not ready. Every time he thought about killing the humans, he remembered Hannah's small hands treating his wound. He remembered her smile. This had never happened before. In 17 previous missions, Cale had never hesitated. He had never questioned. Now he could not stop questioning. Why did that child help him? Why did she lie to protect him? Why wasn't she afraid? He watched the settlement during the day. He saw Hannah going to school with other children. A man named Yuri taught them reading and math in a small building. The children laughed and played. They looked happy, free. He saw Day organizing work teams. The humans worked together to farm, build, and maintain their colony. They shared their food. They helped each other when someone was tired or hurt. They were a community. He saw Bora fixing machines and inventing new tools. She was smart. She could make anything work with just basic materials. Once, Cale watched her turn an old drilling machine into a water pump. It took her only 2 hours. At night, he tried to contact Commander Thex. He should report his progress. But what would he say? That he killed 2 guards and then stopped? That a human child had treated his wounds? That he was questioning his mission? Thex would order him to complete the task immediately. Or worse, Thex might send another Vorkath to replace him and kill him too for failing. Kale sent a short message instead. Mission in progress. Targets more defensive than expected. Will complete soon. It was the truth, but not all of it. On the fourth day, Hannah came to the forest again. Kale saw her walking along a small stream. She was alone, collecting plants and putting them in a basket. She hummed a song as she walked. Kale followed her silently. He stayed hidden in the trees. She stopped at a clearing and sat down on a rock. She opened her bag and pulled out food. Bread and fruit. She started eating. Then she looked directly at the tree where Kale was hiding. I know you're there, she said. I brought extra food for you. Kyle stayed still. How did she know? Hannah smiled. I've seen you watching the colony. My dad taught me how to spot when someone is following you. He used to be a soldier before we came here. Slowly, Kyle climbed down from the tree. He approached her carefully. She didn't move away. She just held out a piece of bread. I'm not sure if you can eat this, Hannah said. But I wanted to try. My mom made it this morning. Kale took the bread. It felt strange in his clawed hand. He had never eaten food given freely before. In the Vrax labs, they fed him nutrients through tubes. In the field, he hunted when needed. But this was different. This was a gift. He ate the bread. It tasted good. Simple but warm. Hannah watched him with curious eyes. What's your name? You never told me. Kyle, he said. His voice was rough but quieter than before. That's a nice name, Hannah said. Are you alone out here? Kale nodded. I am always alone. That is what I am made for. That sounds lonely, Hannah said. She looked sad. Everyone needs friends, even if they're different. They sat together for a while. Hannah talked about her life in the colony. She told him about her school lessons, about her parents, about the games she played with other children. She showed him drawings she had made. One was of a large creature with scales. It looked like Kale, but in the drawing he was smiling. I drew this after I met you, Hannah said. I think you look strong but kind. Kyle stared at the drawing. No one had ever called him kind before. Strong, yes. Deadly, yes. But never kind. Before Kale could respond, a loud roar echoed through the forest. It was not a human sound. It was something wild, dangerous. Hannah jumped up, frightened. What was that? Kale stood and sniffed the air. He knew that smell. Ridge prowlers. They were large predators native to this planet, like wolves but bigger, much bigger. And there were many of them. Run back to your settlement, Kale said. Now, what about you? Hannah asked. I will be fine. Go. Hannah grabbed her basket and ran. Kyle watched until she was far enough away. Then he turned toward the sounds. Through the trees he could see them. 6 ridge prowlers. Each one was as big as a horse with gray fur and teeth like daggers. They moved as a pack, hunting. They were heading toward the settlement. They must have smelled the livestock the humans kept. Easy prey. Kale could let them pass. The ridge prowlers would attack the settlement. Many humans would die. His mission would be complete. He wouldn't have to do anything. Nature would do it for him. But Hannah was running back to that settlement. Her parents were there. Day and Bora and Yuri and all the others were there. People who worked together. Who helped each other. Who had built something peaceful on this dangerous world. Kyle made his choice. He ran after the ridge prowlers. He moved faster than they did. He caught up to the pack just as they reached the edge of the settlement. Alarms were already ringing. Humans were grabbing weapons and forming defensive lines. The first ridge prowler leaped over the fence. Kale jumped on its back and drove his claws into its spine. The creature fell with a scream. The other prowlers turned to face this new threat. 2 of them attacked Kale at once. He fought with everything he had. His claws slashed. His teeth bit. His tail knocked one prowler into a tree. These creatures were strong and fast, but Kale was stronger and faster. He was made to kill. 3 ridge prowlers managed to get past him and breach the settlement. Kale heard screams. He finished the prowler in front of him and ran after the others. Inside the settlement, chaos had erupted. One prowler was attacking a group of workers near the storage buildings. Another was heading toward the residential area where families lived. The third was fighting with armed humans led by Day and Jin. Kale went for the one heading toward the residential area first. He tackled it from the side. They rolled together, biting and clawing. The prowler was fierce, but Kale was fiercer. He ended it quickly, then he heard Hana scream. She was near the schoolhouse with other children. A prowler had broken away from the group fighting Day. It was running straight for them. Cal ran faster than he ever had before. He reached the prowler just as it lunged at Hana. He grabbed it by the throat and threw it backward. It hit the ground hard. Before it could get up, Kale was on it. The fight was short and brutal. When it was over, Kale stood breathing heavily. Black blood covered his scales. Wounds covered his body. Around him, the humans stared in shock and fear. Day approached slowly, his weapon ready but not aimed. "You saved us," he said. "Why?" Kale didn't know how to answer. He looked at Hana. She was crying but unhurt. Sue and Jin ran to her and held her tight. "I don't know," Kale said finally. I couldn't let them hurt her." More humans gathered around. Some looked grateful. Some looked afraid. Bora stepped forward. "You're the one who killed our guards. You're what we've been defending against." Kale nodded slowly. "Yes, I was sent to kill all of you. The Vrax Empire sent me to eliminate your settlement." Fear rippled through the crowd. Weapons were raised. But Day held up his hand. "Wait. If he wanted us dead, he could have let those creatures do it. Instead, he fought beside us. He saved our children. He killed 2 of our people," someone shouted. "I know," Day said. "But he also just saved dozens more." He looked at Kyle. "Why did you stop? Why didn't you complete your mission?" Kale looked at Hana again. She had broken free from her parents and was walking toward him. Sue tried to pull her back, but Hana pushed forward. She walked right up to Kale and wrapped her small arms around his leg. "He's my friend," Hana said loudly. "He protected me. He's good." Kale felt something break inside him. Not something bad breaking. Something that had been holding him back. All his life he had been told he was a weapon. A tool made to kill and nothing else. But this child, this small human, called him friend. She saw something in him that even he didn't know was there. "I cannot complete my mission," Kale said. "I will not kill you. Any of you." Day studied him for a long moment. Then he made a decision that would change everything. "Then you have a choice. You can leave this planet in peace. We won't hunt you. Or you can stay. You can help us survive. Help us defend against whatever comes next." "Why would you trust me?" Kale asked. "Because actions speak louder than words," Sue said. She had moved closer, still holding Jin's hand. "You chose to protect us when you could have destroyed us." "That means something." Kyle looked at the faces around him. These humans had every reason to hate him, to kill him, but instead they were offering him something he never had, a place, a purpose beyond killing. "I will stay," Kale said. "I will protect you. All of you." Hana smiled up at him. "I told you that you were kind," she said. That night, as the colony cleaned up from the attack and tended to the wounded, Kyle sat outside the settlement. He had refused to go inside. It didn't feel right yet. But Hana brought him food and water. She sat with him under the stars. "What happens now?" Kyle asked. "Now you're part of our family," Hana said simply. "That's what we do here. We take care of each other, family." Kale had never had that word apply to him before. He was created alone, trained alone, fought alone, but maybe, for the first time in his existence, he didn't have to be alone anymore. Kale went for the one heading toward the residential area first. He tackled it from the side. They rolled together, biting and clawing. The prowler was fierce, but Kale was fiercer. He ended it quickly, then he heard Hana scream. She was near the schoolhouse with other children. A prowler had broken away from the group fighting Day. It was running straight for them. Kale ran faster than he ever had before. He reached the prowler just as it lunged at Hana. He grabbed it by the throat and threw it backward. It hit the ground hard. Before it could get up, Kale was on it. The fight was short and brutal. When it was over, Kale stood breathing heavily. Black blood covered his scales. Wounds covered his body. Around him, the humans stared in shock and fear. Day approached slowly, his weapon ready but not aimed. "You saved us," he said. "Why?" Kale didn't know how to answer. He looked at Hana. She was crying but unhurt. Sue and Jin ran to her and held her tight. "I don't know," Kale said finally. I couldn't let them hurt her." More humans gathered around. Some looked grateful. Some looked afraid. Bora stepped forward. "You're the one who killed our guards. You're what we've been defending against." Kale nodded slowly. "Yes, I was sent to kill all of you. The Vrax Empire sent me to eliminate your settlement." Fear rippled through the crowd. Weapons were raised. But Day held up his hand. "Wait. If he wanted us dead, he could have let those creatures do it. Instead, he fought beside us. He saved our children. He killed 2 of our people, someone shouted. I know, Day said. But he also just saved dozens more. He looked at Kyle. Why did you stop? Why didn't you complete your mission? Kale looked at Hana again. She had broken free from her parents and was walking toward him. Sue tried to pull her back, but Hana pushed forward. She walked right up to Kale and wrapped her small arms around his leg. He's my friend, Hana said loudly. He protected me. He's good. Kale felt something break inside him. Not something bad breaking. Something that had been holding him back. All his life he had been told he was a weapon. A tool made to kill and nothing else. But this child, this small human, called him friend. She saw something in him that even he didn't know was there. I cannot complete my mission, Kale said. I will not kill you. Any of you. Day studied him for a long moment. Then he made a decision that would change everything. Then you have a choice. You can leave this planet in peace. We won't hunt you. Or you can stay. You can help us survive. Help us defend against whatever comes next. Why would you trust me? Kale asked. Because actions speak louder than words, Sue said. She had moved closer, still holding Jin's hand. You chose to protect us when you could have destroyed us. That means something. Kyle looked at the faces around him. These humans had every reason to hate him, to kill him, but instead they were offering him something he never had, a place, a purpose beyond killing. I will stay, Kale said. I will protect you. All of you, Hana smiled up at him. I told you that you were kind, she said. That night, as the colony cleaned up from the attack and tended to the wounded, Kyle sat outside the settlement. He had refused to go inside. It didn't feel right yet. But Hana brought him food and water. She sat with him under the stars. What happens now? Kyle asked. Now you're part of our family, Hana said simply. That's what we do here. We take care of each other, family. Kale had never had that word apply to him before. He was created alone, trained alone, fought alone, but maybe, for the first time in his existence, he didn't have to be alone anymore. The first weeks were difficult. Many colonists were afraid of Kale. They crossed to the other side of the path when he walked by. They whispered when they thought he couldn't hear. Some wanted him gone, no matter what Day said. But slowly things changed. Kale proved himself useful. He used his enhanced senses to scout for threats. He could smell danger from miles away. He could hear sounds no human could detect. He warned them about storms before they arrived. He found water sources in the dry season. Day asked Kale to train the defense teams. At first, the humans were hesitant to learn from him. But after the first training session, they understood. Kale knew things about combat that Day had never learned in the military. He taught them how to move quietly, how to use terrain for advantage, how to fight against enemies stronger than themselves. Tay, the young man who had wounded Kale, became his best student. You're teaching us how to survive, Tay said one day after practice. Not just how to fight, but how to think like a predator. You are predators, Kale said. Humans are hunters. You just forgot how to be dangerous. Bora spent hours studying Kale's biology. She wanted to understand how Vrak's technology worked. If they made you, she explained, they can make more. We need to know how to defend against others like you. Kale let her run tests. She discovered that his enhanced strength came from modified muscle fibers. His healing ability used a network of nanomachines in his blood. His senses were amplified by specialized organs the Vraks had grafted into his body. This is brutal, Bora said quietly. They didn't just enhance you. They rebuilt you. You must have been in pain for months during the process. I do not remember, Kale said. They erase memories of the creation process. They say it makes us more effective. Bora looked sad. I'm sorry that happened to you. No one should be made into a weapon against their will. Hana visited Kyle every day. She brought him food. She told him stories. She taught him games that human children played. Sometimes other children came with her, though they stayed farther back at first. Eventually they grew braver. One little boy asked Kale if he could touch his scales. Kale lowered himself down so the boy could reach. They're so smooth, the boy said with wonder. Soon all the children wanted to touch Kale's scales. He sat very still and let them. Sue treated Kale's old wounds and checked his health. You're healing well, she said, but you need to rest more. Even you have limits. I cannot rest, Kyle said. I must stay alert. Protect the settlement. Protecting us means staying healthy, Sue said firmly. You're no good to anyone if you collapse from exhaustion. Jin helped Kale understand human culture. He explained why families were important, why people celebrated birthdays and holidays, why they sang songs and told jokes. We do these things because they remind us why life is worth living, Jin said. Kale learned to appreciate small things. The taste of Sue's cooking, the sound of children laughing, the warmth of the sun on his scales, the feeling of belonging somewhere. But peace never lasts forever. One night, Kale's communicator activated. He had hidden it in the forest, checking it rarely. Now it buzzed with an incoming message. Commander Thex's voice crackled through. Report your status immediately. Your mission should have been completed weeks ago. Kale stared at the device. He could ignore it. But that would only delay the inevitable. The Vrax would come to investigate. He went to find Day. The colony leader was in his office, reviewing supply reports. We need to talk, Kale said. Day looked up. He saw the serious expression on Kyle's face and gestured to a chair. Kyle was too large for human furniture, so he sat on the floor instead. The Vrax are going to come, Kyle said. They know something is wrong. When I do not report success, they will send others to investigate. And when they find you still alive, they will send a military force. Day was quiet for a moment. How long do we have? 2 weeks. Maybe 3. They will send a reconnaissance ship first. When that ship reports back, they will send a strike force. Can we evacuate? Find somewhere else to hide? Kyle shook his head. They will track you. The Vrax have scanning technology that can find human settlements across an entire planet. Running will only delay the end. Then we fight, Day said. His voice was calm but determined. You cannot win against a Vrax strike force. They will have warships, soldiers, advanced weapons. Maybe we can't win, Day said, but we can make them pay for every inch of ground. We can show them that humans don't surrender, and we can make sure the galaxy knows what happened here. Day called a meeting of the entire colony. Everyone gathered in the main hall. Kale stood at the side watching. When everyone was present, Day explained the situation. He told them about the coming Vrax force. He gave them 2 choices. Try to evacuate and hope they could hide or stay and fight. Yuri, the old teacher, stood up. We came to this planet to be free. Running means we'll never stop running. I say we stand and fight, one by one, others agreed. Families held each other close. Young people looked scared but determined. Even the children seemed to understand that something important was happening. Only a few wanted to leave. Day arranged for them to take one of the colony ships and try to find another settlement. No one should be forced to stay and fight, he said. We all make our own choices. After the meeting, the real work began. Bora led teams to build defenses. They dug trenches around the settlement. They set up more sensors and alarms. They created traps using mining explosives and electromagnetic devices. Tay and the defense teams practiced constantly. They learned to work together better. They memorized the defensive positions. They planned for every scenario they could imagine. Sue prepared the medical center for casualties. She trained more people in emergency treatment. She stockpiled supplies and medicine. Yuri taught the children evacuation procedures. If the defenses failed, the children would retreat to bunkers Bora had designed. They would hide underground until it was safe. Through it all, Kale worked harder than anyone. He helped dig fortifications with his strength. He taught combat techniques to anyone willing to learn. He used his knowledge of Vrax tactics to predict how they would attack and how to counter them. You are doing so much for us, Jin said one evening. Why? You could leave. Find somewhere safe. This is my home now, Kale said simply. You are my family. I protect my family. The night before the expected arrival of the Vrax reconnaissance ship, the colony held a gathering. It was not a sad occasion. People shared food and stories. They sang songs. They reminded each other why they were fighting. Hana found Kale sitting outside watching the stars. She climbed up and sat next to him. Are you scared? She asked. Yes, Kale admitted. I have fought many battles, but I have never fought to protect something before, only to destroy. This is different. It's okay to be scared, Hana said. My dad told me that being brave doesn't mean you're not afraid. It means you do the right thing even when you're afraid. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small bracelet. It was woven from colorful plant fibers. I made this for you, she said. It's a friendship bracelet. You wear it to remember that you have friends who care about you. Kyle took the bracelet carefully. His clawed fingers were not made for delicate things, but he managed to tie it around his wrist. It looked tiny against his dark scales, but it meant everything. "Thank you," Kale said. "I will wear it always." Hana hugged his arm. "Whatever happens tomorrow, you're still my friend. You're still family." That night, Kale did not sleep. He sat on the highest point of the settlement, watching and waiting. His enhanced senses reached out into the darkness, searching for any sign of danger. As the twin moons rose over the valley, Kyle thought about how much his life had changed. Weeks ago, he was a weapon with no purpose beyond killing. Now he was a guardian, a protector, a friend, a member of a family. The Vrax had created him to be death, but the humans had taught him to be something more. They had taught him to live, to care, to choose, and now he would choose to fight. Not for destruction, but for protection. Not for the Vrax Empire, but for his new home. For the people who had given him something worth fighting for. As dawn approached, Kale's sensors picked up something. A ship entering the atmosphere. The Vrax had arrived. The Vrax ships appeared in the morning sky like dark birds. 3 warships, large and threatening. They hung above the planet, scanning the surface. Kale knew they had already detected the settlement. They knew exactly where the humans were. The alarms rang through the colony. People ran to their positions. Children were taken to the bunkers. Defense teams grabbed their weapons. Everyone knew this was it. The fight for survival had begun. Drop pods fell from the ships like rain. They hit the ground around the settlement, creating clouds of dust. Vrax soldiers emerged, armed and armored. They moved in formation, professional and deadly. But the first wave never made it to the settlement. Boris traps activated. Electromagnetic pulses disabled their equipment. Explosives hidden in the ground erupted, throwing soldiers backward. The Vrax had expected easy prey. Instead, they found prepared defenders. The soldiers who survived the traps advanced more carefully. They encountered the defense positions Day had established. The humans fought with everything they had. Their weapons were crude compared to Vrax technology, but their determination was fierce. Tay led his team in guerrilla attacks from the flanks. They would strike, then retreat, then strike again from a different position. The Vrax couldn't pin them down. Jin and his mechanics used their knowledge of terrain to collapse buildings on advancing troops. Kyle fought like a storm. He moved through the battlefield faster than the Vrax soldiers could track. He knew their tactics, their weaknesses. He used that knowledge against them. Soldiers fell before they knew he was there, but there were too many. For every soldier that fell, 2 more took their place. The Vrax were pushing closer to the settlement center. The human defenses were holding, but barely. Kale knew they needed to change the situation. Fighting on the ground would not be enough. They needed to stop the ships from sending more soldiers. He made a decision. He fought his way to a communication station and sent a message to the flagship. "Commander Thex, this is Kale. I challenge you to personal combat, as is the Vrax tradition." There was silence. Then Thex's voice came through. "You are a traitor. You have no right to invoke tradition." "I am Vorkath," Kale said. "I have the right to challenge any Vrax in combat." Or has the mighty Commander Thex become afraid of his own creation? Kyle knew this would anger Thex. Pride was important to Vrax commanders. Refusing a challenge would make Thex look weak in front of his crew. "Very well," Thex said. "Come to my ship. We will settle this." Kyle looked at Day. The colony leader nodded. "Buy us time. We'll hold here." A transport beam pulled Kale up to the flagship. He materialized in a large chamber. Vrax soldiers surrounded him, weapons ready. In the center stood Commander Thex. Thex was tall even for a Vrax. His body was enhanced with military augmentations. Armor plates covered his gray skin. His eyes glowed with cold anger. "You have failed your purpose," Thex said. "You were made to serve the Empire." "I was made to kill," Kyle said. "But I choose to protect instead." "Choice," Thex spat the word. "You are a weapon. Weapons do not choose. Then I am no longer a weapon." The fight began without warning. Thex moved fast, augmented by military technology. He struck with power meant to crush bones, but Kale was faster. He had been created to be the ultimate killer. He dodged and countered, his claws finding weak points in Thex's armor. They fought across the chamber. Metal bent under their blows. The watching soldiers backed away to give them space. This was combat at its most brutal and pure. Thex was skilled. He had decades of military training and combat experience. He fought with the cold efficiency of a professional soldier. But Kale fought with something more. He fought for people he cared about, for a home he wanted to protect, for a life he had chosen. The difference showed. Kale's strikes became faster, more precise. He was not just following programming anymore. He was thinking, adapting, fighting with purpose. Thex realized he was losing. In desperation, he shouted to his crew, "Fire on the settlement. Destroy it now." But one of the crew members hesitated. A young Vrax officer named Vex had been watching the fight. He had seen Kyle's determination. He had heard Kyle speak of choice. Something about it made him question. "Execute my order," Vex screamed. Vex looked at his control panel. Then he looked at Kale. "No," he said quietly. "This is not right." The other officers stared at Vex in shock. A Vrax officer had refused a direct order. It was unthinkable. Thex's moment of distraction was all Kale needed. He struck hard and fast. Thex fell, defeated but alive. Kale stood over him, breathing heavily. "I could kill you," Kyle said, "but I am not what you made me to be anymore. I choose mercy." He turned to the crew. "All of you, listen. Those humans below are not weak prey. They are survivors, fighters. They have shown me that there is more to life than following orders. They have shown me choice." He activated the ship's communication system and broadcast to all 3 warships. "I am Kale, Vorkath designation V847. I was sent to destroy the human settlement. Instead, I learned from them. I learned that being strong does not mean destroying the weak. It means protecting those who need protection. I learned that following orders is not the same as doing what is right." On the other ships, soldiers and crew members listened. Some dismissed his words, but others, like Vex, felt something stir inside them. A question. A doubt about the system they served. Before more could happen, new ships appeared in the sky. But these were not Vrax ships. They were human warships. 3 Earth Defense Force vessels emerged from faster-than-light travel. The distress signal the colony sent weeks ago had finally been answered. The human warships were larger and more advanced than the Vrax expected. They surrounded the Vrax fleet. A voice came over the communication channels. "This is Captain May of the Earth Defense Force. We have received a distress call from our colony. All hostile forces are ordered to stand down immediately." The Vrax commanders realized their situation. They were outnumbered and outgunned. Kale had sabotaged their faster-than-light systems during his fight with Thex. They could not escape. Slowly, the Vrax forces surrendered. Soldiers on the ground put down their weapons. Ships powered down their weapon systems. The battle was over. Kale was transported back to the surface. He landed in the settlement center. The colonists emerged from their positions, tired and wounded but alive. Many were injured. Some would not survive. But they had held. They had survived. Hana ran to Kale and hugged him tightly. She was crying, but she was safe. Su and Jin came next, then Day, then others. They gathered around Kale, these humans who had become his family. "You came back," Hana said. "I knew you would." "I promised to protect you," Kale said. "I keep my promises." Captain May landed with a squad of Marines. She looked at the settlement, at the defenses, at the humans standing together despite their wounds. Then she looked at Kale. "You're the Vorkath that sent the distress signal details," May said. "The one who chose to protect instead of destroy." Kale nodded. "I am Kale. I am a guardian of this colony." May smiled slightly. "Then you have our thanks. And our protection." As night fell, the colony gathered to remember those who had died. 17 colonists had fallen in the defense. Yuri, the old teacher who had argued for standing and fighting, was among them. They held a ceremony and spoke words of remembrance. Kyle stood with the others, mourning people he had come to know. He felt grief for the first time. Real grief for lost friends. It hurt, but it also meant he was truly alive. He was truly part of this community. After the ceremony, Hana took Kyle's hand. "They died protecting their home," she said. "That means something. That means everything." Kale looked at the friendship bracelet still tied around his wrist. It had gotten dirty and torn during the battle, but he would never remove it. It was a symbol of what he had found here. A symbol of his choice, yes, Kale agreed. It means everything. The colony had survived. They had proven that humans could not be broken. And they had proven that even a creature designed to be a monster could choose to be something better. The Vrax had learned an expensive lesson. Humans were not prey. They were fighters, survivors. and anyone who stood with them became part of something stronger than any empire. The news spread across the galaxy like fire. A human colony had defeated a Vrak strike force. A Vorkath, the Empire's most feared weapon, had defected to protect humans. The story was told on 1,000 worlds in 100 different languages. The Vrak's empire tried to suppress the information. They said it was propaganda, lies, but too many people had seen the truth. The Vrak's crew members who surrendered told their stories. Some, like Vex, requested asylum with the humans. They wanted to be free from the Empire's control. Other Vorkath across the galaxy heard about Kale. They learned that one of their kind had broken free from programming. Some dismissed it as impossible, but others began to question. If Kale could choose his own path, could they? Within months, 3 more Vorkath defected from Vrak service. Then 5, then a dozen. The Empire's ultimate weapons were questioning their purpose. The careful control system the Vraks had built was breaking down. Species that the Vraks had enslaved for generations saw hope. If even a Vorkath could rebel, maybe they could too. Resistance movements grew stronger. The Vrak's empire, once seemingly unshakable, began to fracture. On Talon 9, life changed dramatically. The Earth Defense Force established a permanent garrison to protect the colony. With their support, New Haven grew rapidly. More settlers arrived. New buildings rose. The small colony became a thriving settlement of over 1,000 people. Other species came too, curious to see the place where a Vorkath had chosen to protect instead of destroy. Merchants came to trade. Scientists came to study. Refugees came seeking safety. New Haven became a symbol of something rare in the galaxy, a place where different beings could live together in peace. Day was appointed as the regional governor. He worked with Earth to create policies for integrating refugees and defectors. His office was always busy, but he never forgot the small colony they had started with. He kept his door open to anyone who needed help. Bora led a research team focused on helping bioengineered beings break their conditioning. She worked with Vorkath and other created species, finding ways to give them true freedom of choice. Her work saved hundreds of lives and gave hope to thousands more. Sue expanded the medical facilities. She treated humans and aliens alike, never turning anyone away. She trained new doctors and taught them that medicine was about compassion, not just science. Her clinic became famous across several systems. Jin helped build the expanding settlement. His engineering skills were invaluable as New Haven grew. He also trained young people in practical skills, passing on knowledge to the next generation. Tai became the head of the defense forces. He trained new recruits using the techniques Kale had taught him. Under his leadership, New Haven's defenders became known for their skill and courage. Kale became something unique in the galaxy. He was a guardian, a teacher, and a symbol. Young Vorkath who defected from the Vraks often came to New Haven to learn from him. He taught them what he had learned, that strength was not just about power, but about choosing how to use that power. He also became an ambassador of sorts. When conflicts arose between species, people asked Kale to help mediate. His unique perspective as someone who had been created as a weapon but chose to be a protector gave him insight others lacked. But most importantly, Kale was Hana's guardian and friend. As she grew older, he was always there. He attended her school events. He taught her self-defense. He listened to her problems and gave advice when he could. 5 years after the battle, Hana was 13 years old. She had grown into a confident young woman with her mother's kindness and her father's courage. She helped in Bora's research facility, learning about different species and how to help them. On the anniversary of the defense of New Haven, the colony held a memorial ceremony. A monument had been built to honor the 17 who died protecting their home. Names were carved into stone, including Yuri's. The entire settlement gathered to remember. After the ceremony, Hana and Kyle walked to their favorite spot on the hillside overlooking the settlement. It was where they had sat 5 years ago, the night before the Vraks arrived. So much had changed since then. Do you ever regret it? Hana asked. Choosing to stay? Choosing us? Kale looked at the settlement below. He saw humans and aliens working together. He saw children of different species playing in the streets. He saw the memorial to those who had fallen. He saw home. Never, he said. The Vraks created me to be a weapon. But you taught me I could be more. You showed me what it means to live, not just exist. Hana smiled. You taught us something too. You taught us that anyone can change. That where you come from doesn't define where you go. that monsters are made, not born. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. The twin moons rose over the valley just like they had 5 years ago, but everything was different now. Better. I'm going to apply to the Galactic Council's diplomatic program, Hana said. I want to help other species learn to work together like we do here. Kale felt pride. You will be excellent at that. You have always known how to see the good in others. I learned from the best, Hana said. She looked at the friendship bracelet still tied around Kale's wrist. It was worn and faded now, but he had never removed it. That's still holding up. It reminds me of the most important choice I ever made, Kale said. The day I decided to be more than what I was created to be. Down in the settlement, a celebration was beginning. Music played. People gathered to share food and stories. It was not just a memorial anymore. It had become a celebration of survival, of community, of hope. Hana stood and offered her hand to Kyle. Come on. They'll want you at the celebration. Me? Kale asked. Why? Because you're family, Hana said simply. And family celebrates together, family. That word still filled Kale with warmth every time he heard it. He took Hana's hand carefully, his large clawed fingers gentle around her small human hand, and they walked down to the settlement together. The celebration was beautiful. Humans and aliens danced together. Children played games that mixed traditions from a dozen different worlds. Food from multiple cultures covered long tables. Everyone was welcome. Everyone belonged. Kale found himself pulled into the dancing by Hana and several other children. He was awkward and clumsy. His massive body was not made for dancing, but no one laughed. Instead, others joined in. Soon, the dance floor was filled with beings of all shapes and sizes, moving together in joyful chaos. As the night went on, Kale stood at the edge of the crowd, watching. Day approached and stood beside him. Quite a change from 5 years ago, the governor said. Yes, Kale agreed. I came here to destroy everything. Instead, I found everything worth protecting. The galaxy is changing because of what happened here, Day said. The Galactic Council recognizes humanity as a rising power now. But more than that, they're learning from our example. Other species are starting to see that strength isn't about domination. It's about lifting others up. The Vrax Empire is falling apart, Kale said. They are fighting among themselves. Some want reform. Others want to hold on to the old ways. It will take years to resolve. Maybe that's for the best, Day said. Change is hard, but it's necessary. Sue and Jin joined them with Bora and Tay following. They stood together. This group of people who had started a rebellion without even meaning to. They had just wanted to survive, to be free. But their example had sparked something much larger. To New Haven, Jin said, raising a glass. And to the family we built here. They all raised their glasses. Kale held his carefully, still not entirely comfortable with human customs but willing to try. To family, they said together. Later, as the celebration wound down and people returned to their homes, Kale walked the perimeter of the settlement one last time. It was an old habit from his guardian duties. He checked for threats, looked for anything out of place, but tonight all was peaceful. The settlement was safe. His family was safe. For the first time in his life, Kale felt truly at peace. He looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vrax Empire was crumbling. Other Vorkath were finding their own paths to freedom. Enslaved species were rising up. The galaxy was changing, and it had all started here. In this small settlement, with one human child who showed kindness to a monster, who saw potential where others saw only threat, who gave friendship where others gave fear. The Vrax had sent their apex predator to exterminate the human settlement. They had been certain of their superiority. Certain that humans were weak and easily destroyed, they were wrong. Humans were not weak. They were resilient, adaptable, compassionate. They turned enemies into allies. They saw value in the outcast. They built communities that welcomed everyone. And most importantly, they taught others to be better than they were. They taught a weapon to be a guardian. They taught a monster to be a person. They taught the galaxy that change was possible. That was humanity's real power, not their weapons or their ships. Their power was in their ability to inspire, to transform, to show others what they could become. The apex predator had come to destroy. Instead, he had found purpose. He had found home. He had found family. He had found himself. As the twin moons reached their peak in the night sky, Kale made his way back to the settlement. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. There would be more refugees to help, more conflicts to mediate, more work to do building a better galaxy. But tonight he would rest. He would be with his family. He would be home. The Vrax had created Kale to be death, but the humans of New Haven had taught him to be life. And that made all the difference. The end.